Oh, boy.
Richard Sherman weighed in on the 49ers. And he's nervous.
Does he talk about any other team? Doesn't seem like
he's
he ever does.
really very 49ers centric,
Yeah.
considering he played for
It's like the
Seahawks.
Larry Krueger of the national media.
Yeah, he's very 49ers centric. I'm definitely 49ers centric as well. All right, here we go. Here is Dick Sherman on the podcast. His podcast.
He's got the Greg Papa hat going. Changes
There you
it
go.
by
With
team.
the flat. I like the other guys fold a little bit better, but here you go.
Yeah.
Little Richard Sherman.
How high is your panic meter with this team right now?
Mitchell, my panic meter has been high since the Arizona Cardinals lost. So it can't go any higher. It's been high. I've been panicked. I've been concerned. I've lost sleep. I think my hair was falling out at times. Like stress. Because I don't know the answers. Usually I watch the tape and it's clear and you're like, hey, pass rushing, or hey, push the ball down the field, or turnovers, or red zone. And right now you're watching these games and you're like, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. It's like a Thanksgiving plate. Like you got a little bit of everything. It's a taste of everything, a helping of all these mistakes that are leading to a plate full of disappointment. And that's the part that as a fan of the organization and program, I just watch and I'm like, man, this is such a talented team. And I know how it feels to have the fatigue of losing a Super Bowl. Like it sucks. And no matter how much you try to tell yourself and you're mentally strong and you're like, there's no fatigue, it gets you. And to lose one, some of the guys have lost two. They've lost NFC championships. Like that weighs on you if you care enough. And it weighs on your emotion, and the emotions weigh on your spirit, Mitchell, and it just sits on you. And so I thought last year had to be the year. I thought it had to be the year. When they got there, they had the Kansas City Chiefs where they wanted them. I thought it had to be the year. And as this year has progressed, you've seen the holdouts, and then the holdouts end, and then you see the injuries, and the injuries just keep mounting. I mean, Brandon Ayuk has the season-ending injury, Devon Hargrave season-ending injury, and it's football, and you have these things happen when you just don't have the luck. The luck isn't with you in that season, so you don't have the injury luck, and then the ball's not necessarily bouncing your way. You're not getting the calls that you used to get, or the bounces, or the turnovers, or and unfortunately they're giving up points late in ball games on defense. All
right, that's enough.
Yeah, someone needs to reset Richard Sherman. He's stalling out there.
Well, I mean, first of all, do you really believe he's losing sleep? Do you really believe that he's that upset, or is he acting? Is he acting for the podcast, or is he really losing his hair, losing sleep, stressing out? I don't see him. I believe he's following it. I believe he'd love to see them win, but I don't think he's losing sleep.
I mean, I go on with you. I go on KMBR. I write this column. I think a lot of people would say that just given my general temperament towards this team, that I'm invested. I'm emotional about it. I'm yelling about this football team. I haven't lost an ounce of sleep. Not one bit. No one should be losing sleep over this team. What have they done at any point to convince you that this was in fact the year? Like at some point you have to show me that you are that kind of team. You can say it all you want. I'm sure the Jaguars were telling themselves in the preseason, we got a shot this year. We can be that team. And then reality strikes, and now no one's saying that anymore. What have we seen from these San Francisco 49ers that gives you the indication that they're actually a good football team? I'm not even going to put Super Bowl contender. What makes you watch them and say, that's a damn good football team? Their best win of the season might have been against the Jets. Like, this is not, when you watch the All-22, when you watch the game live, nothing about this team screams contender, much less favorite. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that year to year, even though most of the names remain the same, those are entirely different entities in the NFL. That's what makes going back to back so damn hard. That's what makes this Chiefs team such a peculiarity. It doesn't happen. The Patriots did it once. The Chiefs just did it. It doesn't get done. It's not a thing. And the Niners just simply are riding on the reputation of last year. And this is something we noted in training camp. They had an arrogance to them. They had an entitlement to them. There was this just internal belief around that team that, yeah, we're dicking around in practice and there's not a lot of juice, but we'll figure it out. We're really, really good. What? No, they're not. We're 12 weeks into the season, and I can't point to you one game that says Super Bowl contender. I can't even, outside of one quarter against Dallas, when have they felt dominant? It's just not that good. They're an average football team, and like an average football team, they're fighting to make the playoffs in an NFC West that, by the way, they're in the bottom of right now. So if Richard Sherman's losing sleep over that, I'd recommend that he do some self-evaluation, much like the 49ers. Like, what have you seen that bothers you that this team isn't reaching their ceiling? You treat them like a new operation, and they came in, and they have not proven jack squat going into week 12. They need to drop this act of we can get back to the Super Bowl and start dealing with the reality, which is let's just make the playoffs and maybe we get lucky from there. Maybe that's where the luck lies.
I mean, all these great players are not great. I mean,
totally.
Trent Williams has regressed. Nick Bosa has regressed. Christian McCaffrey has regressed.
Yep.
Brandon Ayuk is out, but he had regressed. Debo Samuel's regressed. It's a bunch of guys it's a bunch of big names, but they're not. Right. They don't have big game. No. They really don't. And it shows. So
the two big game players on this team are Kittle and Jennings.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to sit there and talk about big names. I mean, come on. It's week 12. I mean, at this point, we know what it is. Nick Sorensen.
Yeah.
I asked him today about the Niners' fourth quarter struggles. Mm-hmm. And, I don't even know what to say about it, really. It's like Nick doesn't want to address it. It's like I feel for the guy sometimes, and then other times I don't. But
it is his job, So
yeah, it's his job. He's
only so much sympathy that you can give.
Right. He's supposed to be, he's supposed to be better at it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do I have Nick? I don't think I have it here. It's supposed to be on Kev's Twitter. Oh, let's see.
Come on, Kev.
Wait a second. Here it is. I was on Coach Yak's Twitter. So here it is. This is Sorensen from earlier today. Let's see. Wait a second. Here's the one. Okay, yeah, here we go. Tell me if you think he's answering my question here or if he's dodging. Okay. He does a lot of dodging.
I don't see anything up here, Lair, if I'm being honest.
One second. Here we go. Okay.
There we go.
I asked him about the Niners defense in the fourth quarter. 49ers are number 4 in the NFL in defense in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
If you looked at their defense in the first quarter, and you extrapolate it out for the full game, they'd be on pace to allow 14 points. Yeah. So that's the number one defense in football. So in the first quarter, the 49ers have the equivalent of the number one defense in football. They give up 8.8 points in the fourth quarter. It's equivalent to giving up over 35 a game. So somehow they go from a defense in the first quarter that gives up 14 a game to a defense in the fourth quarter that gives up 35 a game. And here I asked Sorensen about it. You tell me if he answers the question.
At the beginning of games, your defense is starting really fast. I think you're fourth in the league in points allowed in the first quarter. But in the fourth quarter, you're 28th in the league. What is that about fatigue? Is it about, it's a lot of games at this point, so start to paint a picture. What's the reason for the fourth quarter?
I guess it's just got to evaluate it all. I don't think it's one thing. I look at myself first. So I think I've just continually tried to tap into that and what exactly it is. I think we've been beating it up and talking about it over and over again. I just think we need to coach it better and execute better and just finish better as a team.
At the beginning of games, your defense is starting.
Come on.
Is that an answer?
No.
I don't know if that's an answer.
That's a canned response from ChatGPT. That's what that is.
Well, let me throw it to you then. The 49ers are, playing really good defense in the first quarter, and in the fourth quarter, they're playing really bad defense.
Yeah.
Why? What?
They're-
Give me the reason why. Why are they so good at the beginning of games and so bad as the game progresses? Is he not making adjustments? Are they too thin? Are they fatigued? Do they not have the right pieces? I mean, what is going on with the Niner defense? How could they be so good in the first quarter and so bad in the fourth?
It comes down to pass rush. This team is predicated on having a pass rush that pressures quarterbacks. And when the game is early and Nick Bosa is fresh, they actually get after the quarterback. And they have really good coverage on the back end, and that all syncs up because you have just guys who are getting after it, splitting gaps, getting after the quarterback. They got juice in the first quarter. And it's because their best players are at their best in that moment. They got the scheme in. They're ready to go. They're clear-minded. They attack. And on the back end, if you can escape, there's not a lot of room to throw it around. As the game progresses, that defensive line gets more and more tired because you're now rotating in a bunch of randos on the at defensive tackle. I mean, I know that a lot of people love Evan Anderson. He's a body. You're talking Kalia Davis. He's not bringing any juice. You're not rotating in guys at defensive tackle that are bringing you anything in the run game or the pass game. And on the outside, you're bringing in Robert Beal and Sam Aquanu. And I like Sam Aquanu as somebody who can be a strong side defensive end and set the edge every now and again. Like, I think he's a competent football player, but you're not getting the quarterback with him. And Beal hasn't done a damn thing in the NFL. So when you already have Floyd, who now is wearing down because he's got wear and tear on that body, which, I mean, his entire season has been defined by talking to the trainer. That's all I ever see him do, talk to the trainer. You have that. You have Yetur Gross-Matos going inside, outside early. And now later in the game, you need him on the outside, and he's got nothing left for you because he's been playing defensive tackle, and he's not a defensive tackle. You got Bosa getting triple teamed for 3 straight quarters and having to stay on the field more often than he used to because there is nobody to replace him. Your pass rush goes to shit. And also, your secondary is going to get tired as the game progresses. Mistakes are going to be made. That's natural. That one is excusable. But when you are in situations where the other team is passing the ball a lot and you don't have the ability, because you play a lot of soft zone coverage, you don't have the ability to force the quarterback into quick decisions or bad decisions when you can't bring him to the ground, he will carve you up. It doesn't matter if it's Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. It does not matter who it is. You should be so lucky as to get a Geno Smith or a Baker Mayfield on that day. You don't have the pass rush. The hallmark of this team when they were at their best, maybe with the exception of last year when they did go to the Super Bowl and this wasn't the case, was that they not just had a great defensive starting line, but they also had a backup line that I think 10 or 12 teams in the NFL would gladly take as their number one. And you could rotate those guys in and you can keep your dudes fresh and you could sick them like dogs at any given moment because they were always as fresh as they could possibly be. And meanwhile, you're seeing Nick Bosa coming back from halftime, and within a series, he's cashed. Because, again, you can only ask one guy to do so much. You say that Nick Bosa has slid. I think that in terms of output, it's inarguable. I don't think he's any worse of a player. I think he's in a much worse situation. And it's difficult for him to get the opportunities that he used to be able to get a lot easier because he had better players around him and he was fresher. He had better players behind him. So I would have to chalk it all up to the pass rush. And ultimately, Sorensen, because he's a secondaries coach, right? Safety secondaries coach, he's not going to default to bringing more pressure because that puts more difficulty on the secondary. And ultimately, the secondary is really good. And maybe he should, but he doesn't lean that way. And it's the same thing Steve Wilkes did. He didn't want to put his secondary in a compromised position. And you have a defense that was predicated in its best days under Robert Saleh and DeMeco Ryan as 4 guys, hand in the dirt, let's go. And we're going to rotate 8, 9, 10 guys into that spot. And so you have now secondary coaches calling those defenses with Chris Kusarek's defensive lines. They're not going to fight that. They're not going to say, actually, we need to start bringing more pressure, because they want to make sure that their the guys in the secondary look good. Those are the guys they care about. So it is a bad situation, and it is going to look really, really ugly on Sunday, because now you don't even have Bosa. And Bosa was making anything that was happening for this defensive line, Bosa was making happen. They scored 20 points on the 49ers on Sunday. Bosa was off the field for every single one of them.